Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Senator Murkowski. I know we're going to tackle this as we've always done in a bipartisan way. It's a particularly important hearing. We have three wonderful public servants, two of whom I got to serve with in the House and in the Senate, and General Scowcroft, your extraordinary service is legion. And here's how I come to this. First, I can't help but noting that the staff has pointed out that this is Groundhog Day. And, you know, we've gone at this thing again and again and again. And let me start with you, if I could, Congressman Hamilton, old friend. You know, on this question, you know, of voluntarism, I mean, it seems to me as important as that is, it's really not voluntarism. It's good science. All of these issues are constantly driven by good science policy. I know you share this view as well. I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody volunteers, we still have to find a way on the repository issue to make sure it's a safe place where you can keep it for 1,000 years. So if you would, give me your sense of how we can figure out a way to link the idea of getting people to volunteer, which nobody, I think, in their right mind could be opposed to, can link that in a very practical way to getting the good science that at the end of the day is going to help us figure out how to do this.
Well, obviously, you have to have good science. You cannot dump this stuff in a place that can't contain it for a long, long period of time. So what has to be done is that the federal government, and it's my understanding, at least under today's authorities and law, it's up to the EPA to develop generic disposal standards and the necessary regulatory requirements to go along with that, so that those standards, scientifically based, would have to be a prerequisite, if you would, of moving ahead with regard to any site. So when I was speaking about voluntary, I didn't mean to exclude the good science part of it, obviously.
No, I understand.
The two things have to go together.
I think we'll want to follow up with your staff some more, because obviously you've done a lot of good work in this area. But that was my one concern in terms of the big picture issue, is how the link was going to work between voluntarism and good science. Let me, if I might, ask you three, because of your expertise, a question on the defense waste issue. Maybe we bring you into this, General Scowcroft, because of your military background. This is something that concerns folks in our part of the world, Senator Cantwell's constituents and mine, hundreds of thousands of folks in the Northwest, because of the Columbia River, Hanford, you know, really our lifeblood. Concerned about how the process is going to go forward to dispose of high-level waste from the nuclear weapons, you know, program. And over the years, there's been a sense it really went to Hanford because, well, Hanford, you know, was there. And when you think about, you know, Yucca, I mean, one of the unfortunate secrets about Yucca was that it wasn't going to be big enough for all of the waste that needed to be, you know, disposed of. I mean, it was for 70,000 tons of spent fuel. Your own report indicated that we would need much more than that. You all note continued operation of current plants would roughly double the amount of spent fuel by 1050. So the bottom line is that our country needs to find capacity to dispose of a lot more nuclear waste than really has gotten out, one, and that putting all of the nuclear waste eggs in one basket, like some thought about with respect to Yucca, seemed to me to be a questionable approach from the get-go. I'd be interested in the thoughts of the three of you, whoever wants to take it. I thought of you, Mr. Hamilton and General Scowcroft, but all of you, Senator Domenici as well. How many disposal sites do you all think the federal government ought to be pursuing to deal with this defense waste issue? What's your sense? Congressman Hamilton, you want to start? Or? Any of you three.
I think what we said in the report is one or more. We really did not try to make a judgment about that. I would think almost certainly it would be more than one, but my judgment would be we'd end up with several. There are plenty of sites, I think, available in the United States that would qualify, but we did not make a recommendation, nor did we try to say how many.
My time's getting to run out. General Scowcroft, Senator Domenici, either of you on that?
I think that is correct. Whatever happens to Yucca Mountain, for example, we will need another site. We know, so there will be at least two. I think we did not have the resources nor the time to make the differentiation between government-created waste, which is much of what it's at Hanford, and commercial reactor fuel. So one of our recommendations is to urge a quick study on whether or not the government-owned fuels or the government-owned waste should be a part of this system, or whether DOE should continue to manage that. We simply didn't have the time to look into that.
Last word for my friend Senator Domenici, if he wants it.
Well, I think you ought to, in response to your question, that I would suggest that the committee take a good look at the reality of military waste or defense waste. Much of it is ready to be disposed of. It's already been put in glass, whatever the words are for that. What do you call that when it's been?
Vitrification.
It's gone through the process of vitrification and it's ready. We did not have the time to pass on whether we should separate that out and go with a repository for it all alone, but we suggested that the executive branch look quickly at what should we treat it differently and proceed perhaps with dispatch to establish a facility for the military. Actually, if you wanted to prove up something, you could do that one and do it first. It is ready, and it is not reusable. I mean, it doesn't have to wait around to be reused. It is finished. It's going to be deposited in that form and never used again. And there's a lot of it ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.